brought to you by WikiVidi.com. No Country for Old Men film. No Country for Old Men is a 2007 American neo-western, neo-noir thriller film written and directed by Joel and Ethan Coen, based on Cormac McCarthy's novel of the same name. A cat-and-mouse drama starring Tommy Lee Jones, Javier Bardem, and Josh Brolin. It follows a Texas welder and Vietnam veteran in the desert landscape of 1980 West Texas. Themes of fate, conscience, and circumstance are explored, ones that the Coen brothers have previously explored in the films Blood Simple and Fargo. No Country for Old Men premiered in competition at the 2007 Cannes Film Festival on May 19. It won 4 awards at the 80th Academy Awards: Best Picture, Best Director, Best Supporting Actor, and Best Adapted Screenplay. In addition, the film won 3 British Academy Film Awards including Best Director, and 2 Golden Globes. The American Film Institute listed it as an AFI Movie of the Year, and the National Board of Review selected the film as the best of 2007. More critics included No Country for Old Men on their 2007 top 10 lists than any other film, and many regard it as the Coen brothers' masterpiece, as well as one of the best films of the 2000s. The Guardian's John Patterson wrote, "The Coens' technical abilities, and their feel for a landscape-based Western classicism reminiscent of Anthony Mann and Sam Peckinpah are matched by few living directors," and Peter Travers of Rolling Stone said that it is a new career peak for the Coen brothers and as entertaining as hell. In 2016, it was voted the 10th best film of the 21st century as picked by 177 film critics from around the world. Plot: Terrell County, Texas, in June 1980 is desolate, expansive country, and Ed Tom Bell laments the increasing violence in a region where he, like his father and grandfather before him, has risen to the office of sheriff. In a neighboring county, Anton Chigurh, a hitman, strangles a sheriff's deputy to escape custody and steals a car by using a captive bolt pistol to kill the driver. Chigurh spares the life of a gas station owner after the owner accepts a challenge and correctly calls the result of Chigurh's coin flip. Hunting pronghorns in the desert, Llewellyn Moss comes across the aftermath of a drug deal gone awry. He finds several dead men and dogs, a wounded Mexican begging for water, and $2 million in a briefcase. He takes the money and returns home. That night, Moss returns to the scene with water. He is pursued by 2 men in a truck and escapes. At home, he sends his wife Carla Jean to stay with her mother, then drives to a motel in Del Rio, where he hides the case in the air vent of his room. Chigurh, hired to recover the money, abruptly kills his employers after obtaining a clue to Moss' identity. Arriving to search Moss' home, he uses his bolt pistol to blow the lock out of the door. Investigating the break-in, Sheriff Bell notices the blown-out lock. Using a tracking device hidden with the money, Chigurh goes to Moss Motel and kills a group of Mexicans who are preparing to ambush Moss in his room. Moss has rented a second room adjacent to the Mexicans' room, with access to the same vent in which the money is hidden. He retrieves the briefcase just before Chigurh opens the vent and finds it empty. While staying at a hotel in Eagle Pass, Moss discovers the tracking device, but Chigurh has already found him. Their firefight spills onto the streets and both are wounded. Moss flees to Mexico, stashing the case of money in weeds along the Rio Grande. His injuries are severe. He asks for help from some musicians, who take him to a hospital. Carson Wells, another hired operative, fails to persuade him to accept protection in return for the money. Chigurh cleans and stitches his own wounds with stolen supplies and kills Wells at his hotel. Moss telephones the room and Chigurh answers. Lifting his boots to avoid Wells' blood, Chigurh tells Moss that he will kill Carla Jean unless Moss gives up the money. He remarks that he will kill Moss regardless of whether he receives the money. Moss retrieves the case of money and arranges to meet Carla Jean at a motel in El Paso, where he plans to give her the money and hide her from danger. Instead, she reluctantly accepts protection for her husband from Sheriff Bell. Carla Jean's mother unwittingly reveals Moss' location to a group of Mexicans who had been tailing them. Bell reaches the rendezvous in time to hear gunshots and see a pickup truck speeding from the motel where Moss lies dead. That night, Bell returns to the crime scene and finds the lock blown out. Chigurh hides behind the door. Bell enters Moss' room and sees that the vent cover has been removed, and the duct is empty. Later, Bell visits his uncle Ellis, an ex-lawman, and tells him he plans to retire because he feels overmatched. Ellis points out that the region has always been violent. Carla Jean returns from her mother's funeral to find Chigurh waiting in her bedroom. She refuses his offer of a coin toss for her life, stating that the choice is his own. Chigurh leaves the house and carefully checks the soles of his boots. As he drives through town, he is injured in a car accident and bribes two young witnesses for their silence as he flees the scene. Now retired, Bell shares two dreams with his wife. In the first, he had lost some money his father had given him. In the other, he and his father were riding through a snowy mountain pass. His father had gone ahead to make a fire in the darkness and wait for Bell. Production. Producer Scott Rudin bought the film rights to McCarthy's novel and suggested an adaptation to the Coen brothers, who at the time were attempting to adapt the novel to the White Sea by James Dickey. By August 2005, the Coen brothers agreed to write and direct a film adaptation of Cormac McCarthy's 2005 novel No Country for Old Men, having identified with how it provided a sense of place and also how it played with genre conventions. Joel Coen said of the unconventional approach, "That was familiar, congenial to us. We're naturally attracted to subverting genre. We liked the fact that the bad guys never really meet the good guys. That McCarthy did not follow through on formula expectations." The Coens identified the appeal of the novel to be its pitiless quality. Ethan Coen explained, "That's a hallmark of the book, which has an unforgiving landscape and characters, but is also about finding some kind of beauty without being sentimental." The adaptation was to be the second of McCarthy's work, following the 2000 film All the Pretty Horses. Thank you for watching, brought to you by WikiVidi.com. Please like and subscribe below. Please like and subscribe below.